My boyfriend at the time was Steve Moriarty, who was the drummer in the Gits, and I always loved watching him play, so I think I gravitated towards it partly because of that, but also just um, liked that instrument and just thought it would be really challenging and fun to learn how to play it. And I had zero interest in being a front person or standing up in front of people.
Your personality type is totally a drummer.
Yeah.
Because you just bash on shit. Bash. Just let me sit back here and bash on shit. That's you. I had been playing music since I was 5. I started playing piano and a few other instruments, and my mom was a singer and my dad was her accompanist. So my dad was a professional musician. When I was more formative years, my parents were converted to Christianity, and they made really, really bad white people contemporary Christian music, but they wrote music together as a team. You know what, if you grow up with rock and roll being evil, then there's nothing more fun than rock and roll. Like, people who grow up agnostic and atheist, they cannot appreciate the devil's music the way that I can, I think. Thanks, Mom and Dad. My boyfriend at the time was a guitar player, so he's like, hey, if you get bass and I'm a guitar player, then you can play along with me. I played with him, I think, one time, and then I was like, this isn't the kind of music I want to do at all. I wanted to play music that was more aggressive. I got the paper out, the weekly, and just looked in the back, and I found some people that were playing metal in Mount Lake Terrace, and those were the first people I played with. I didn't tell them I'd been playing bass for 2 weeks because I thought, no way would they want to play with me. And our first tour was in Europe. It was beneficial for us to be from Seattle, because I remember posters for shows would be like,
oh my God,
7-year bitch, the godmothers of Riot Girl from Nirvana Town.
No kidding, like verbatim.
Yes, I'm quoting
picture
directly
of Elizabeth. Like, they had taken one of our promo photos, blown her up because she was wearing a tank top that said "American Woman Fitness," in this like with a barbell on it or something, and it was like Elizabeth were, and we would get to these places, and they're like, a lot of culture centers and places like that, and there's just enormous, like, movie-sized poster of Elizabeth, American Woman Fitness. And then it would say, the godmothers of the Riot Girl movement.
Yeah. When the outside world sort of descended upon Seattle, like, we've discovered grunge in Seattle music scene, there was a really, for the most part, a really good sense of humor about that.
Yeah.
Nobody was taking that too seriously. Even the bands that were benefiting the most from it had a really, still had that punk roots and had their politics in order for the most part. But 7-Year Bitch wasn't just a band of, here's some individuals that make music. We were something beyond that. It was the age that we were, the environment that we were in, the time that it was, and the way that it all happened, so without any premeditation, without any plotting or planning, the way everything was super spontaneous and natural, is something that I do think it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
When people ask a lot about why was Seattle so interesting to her, what was it about Seattle in the early 90s that, like, had this thing? And I think that you just nailed it for, like, not only for our band, but for lots of others. And there was so much like-mindedness of that going on, and that bands that really liked each other and, like, really got along and, like, really had a good time and really into spending time together, and also friends with other friends' bands. And so there was a lot of, like, members swapping between bands and, like, shows being put together just so that you could play with your friends.